Good afternoon. Today we're here with Bruce O'Neill, the rector of St. Clement's Episcopal Church in Berkeley, California. Bruce has been the rector of a church in the diocese. There's only one other person who's been a rector for as long. And so he has quite a tenure at St. Clement's Church. And I wonder, Bruce, if you can talk a little bit about just what have you learned being a rector for so long, and how has the church changed over the time that you've been serving there?
How much time do we have?
I know, really. 40 days.
What have I learned? I've learned that I didn't know what I was doing when I arrived, and I still don't always know what I'm doing. The church has changed. When I arrived, there was a large group of leadership that was retired, and now many of those people are in the nearer presence of our Lord.
Yeah.
And we've had, 100 burials probably since I've been there, and now it's trying to get the new generation in, and life is different than it was in the 1950s.
Yeah, for sure. And it's one of the things I most admire about your ministry at St. Clement's is you've always had that choir, the children's choir, that's been so powerful. So you always have had families during the whole time that you've been there. And I think as we get older, we need to be attractive to younger people, and you are very attractive to people in our generation. I wonder if you have any suggestions for how do you help build those younger people? How do you help invite them in and get them in, and how do you make decisions about how to do things now versus how things were in the 50s?
Again, I wish I had all the answers. St. Clement's is a traditional congregation in Berkeley,
yeah.
And so we use traditional language, and yet Berkeley is one of the more progressive cities in the world, and so that's a challenge. And it's also, we have a niche in some ways. One of the greatest things of being somewhere for 27 years is multi-generations. So baptizing, marrying, and burying. And so we have a number of families that we have grandparents and grandkids coming, and that's one way of keeping kids in the new generation.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's so powerful. I can imagine, and even just people who are there just before, but who you really know, through their family life. So when you were first as a young man, you and I were both ordained about the same time. How did you decide to get ordained as a priest? Like, what was motivating you? What did the world look like? How did you decide to dedicate yourself to this calling?
As you talk, I'm remembering sitting at our first clergy conference, and I'm looking at you, and I'm trying to figure out, how do I know that guy? Because we were the only two young people.
Yeah, we were.
I don't want to offend any of our colleagues, but we were two of the youngest.
And everybody called me Bruce all the time.
And I got called Malcolm.
I can't believe that.
and so I was trying to figure out, and I remember, oh wait, I knew him from college.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll stop there,
Yeah.
how I knew you in college. But I studied English and social welfare at UC Berkeley, and graduated and knew I'd spend a little bit of time discerning what the next steps were. And I was working for a law firm downtown, and actually sitting here at the Chapel of Grace is amazing, because I would walk up here a couple times a week for the noontime Eucharist.
That's great.
And I'd be sitting out there in those chairs, and after the long walk, sit down, and then all of a sudden start perspiring. And was really embarrassed.
No, so I have to schedule, I can't do anything right when I arrive. I have to wait 15 minutes until I collect myself.
So I was working for a law firm in employee benefits, and then I was thinking maybe I'll go to law school or business school, graduate school of public policy, social work, and I had a stack of catalogs in my closet at home, trying to decide what programs would be best. And they all sounded interesting. And then I was doing youth ministry at my home congregation in Lafayette, and the rector, Charles Ramsden, whose memorial service was right here a few years ago, he came into my office in downtown San Francisco and said, "Bruce, you need to go to seminary." And I'm like, "Whoa." And then I started looking at the ordination process and getting more catalogs. And it finally clicked. It was something that seemed to combine my gifts and interests and my faith. Yeah. And I still put it off, thinking that I'm not really that churchy.
Yeah.
And I guess it worked.
Well, I got to say, I mean, I think that's what I love so much about you in particular. I mean, as a minister, you don't seem like hypocritical or distant or cold or churchy. You don't seem churchy at all. And I think that's what people love about your ministry. Like, you're somebody people can identify with, somebody you can connect with. You know, that warmth is really powerful. So one of the things that I admire also is, you know, you have your son Jeremy, who was ordained right here at Grace Cathedral. And I wonder if you can tell me a little bit about what it was like when he came to you and said, you know, Dad, I'm thinking about this going to seminary thing. You know, what advice did you give him? Like, how did you help guide him? How did you feel when he came to you and said, I want to pattern my life after the way you pattern your life?
Do you want me to be honest?
Yeah.
My wife Michelle and I, our first thing was, can't you do something else? Can't you go to business school and make money and take care of your parents in their old age?
Exactly.
And he kept on coming back to us. My wife teaches, and so he thought, maybe I'll be an English teacher or a history teacher or maybe a priest. We stopped discouraging him, and he said, this is what I want to do. And it's been really exciting to see him. And he was one of the youngest priests in the Episcopal Church for a little while.
Yeah.
He may still be.
Yeah, right. Well, I feel like we were the youngest for like a decade. You know, it was a long time before somebody else new came and they were younger than us.
You're telling me that we're not the youngest anymore?
Not by a long
I
time.
better look in the mirror.
Well, thanks so much for coming in and talking to us. You know, so many different people watch this, and they're curious about, you know, what our lives are like. And I appreciate your friendship over the years. And whenever I got into a jam when I was first ordained, you're the first person I call every time. So I'm still doing it. So thank you.
Thank you. It's been an honor to be here today, and also to be your friend for so many years.
Yeah. So this is Bruce O'Neill, Rector of St. Clement's Church in Berkeley, California. My name is Malcolm Young. I'm the Dean of Grace Cathedral here in San Francisco, California. Thanks for watching. More good news.